Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Simply Done Concierge. Mary and her team can help you be in two places, sometimes three at once. So if you've got a busy schedule, a full calendar, and you need some help, go to simplydoneconcierge.com. Tell Mary what you're looking for, and she'll be able to take care of you. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we bring you a local small business success story. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, and the surrounding towns. We have 33 chapters that meet each week, about 620-ish members, and our goal is to help each other grow our businesses. And our local small business success story this week is Jimmy Mort with DCC Inspection Services. Jimmy is part of Top of the Triangle core group that Amnon and I are involved with. And we meet Tuesday mornings at 8:15 at the Farm Bureau office on Western Boulevard. If you'd like to meet some people that are good in business and a lot of fun to hang around with, please join us. Jimmy, good morning. How are you? I am glad to have you here. Home inspector.
Mhm.
All right. So we think of you're crawling everywhere. You're looking in every nook and cranny. You're looking all over the place, which you are. But your number one, so explain to people if they don't know kind of who you work for and how you get hired.
Yeah, so a huge bulk of what I do is home inspections, and they are aimed towards anybody buying a house or even selling a house. So if you're buying a house, you want to make sure that it's safe. What your investment is definitely safe for your family. There's no hidden expenses that should pop up on you, like your roof or maybe some perhaps plumbing. That's one of the biggest ones. The other one too is when you're selling your house. Selling your house, and you have you probably want a little bit more for it, where perhaps there's some things that don't look as aesthetically pleasing. You want to get that pre-inspected.
Most people know that the buyer uses you, but
Hmm.
the seller I've always thought the seller should as well, at least get their own inspector so they can see maybe what's wrong, maybe what they don't want to fix.
Yeah,
And so somebody else is telling them not to fix something that really doesn't need fixed, but they still want to pay for it, right?
yeah. I think the biggest thing is 11th hour delays.
Yeah.
So yeah, you go to buy a house, and all of a sudden you realize, hey, my septic, something's wrong with my septic or my drain line, or hey, half the windows are rotted out. So know those things before you go into to sell your home. If it's a if you think it's a perfect home, there's always going to be something there. Me or another inspector will find something, but it really does help and make that whole process a lot less stressful.
There are two places I know that homeowners don't go to. One, we kind of go to our attic, but we use it as a storage unit. All
Yeah,
right. But the other thing is we do not go under our crawl
no,
spaces. And if we do have a nice crawl space, he just turned it into a storage
yeah,
unit or the lawnmower, the
paint,
shredder, paint, the bike,
yeah.
or, the spreader, stuff like that. Uh, do you find more stuff in both of those places than you do in the
I
house?
do. There's a lot of things, and it's a telltale sign too.
Yeah.
So if there's something that you see inside, everyone always says there's little cracks in the sheetrock or plaster. You find why those are there in your attic and your crawl spaces. So
Okay.
those are going to tell the full story. You're going to see something above, but you're going to really know what's going on in those areas.
Crawl spaces are fun, right?
Usually when you call me, I'm usually in one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You found some. What are some interesting things you found down there?
Snakes don't bother me. That's every home inspector would
Yes.
tell you a snake story. Like, yeah, I was here and saw a snake. The weirdest, where I guess I even got goosebumps just thinking about it. And open up a door. There's a realtor and the investment guy that was there who was buying the house, and opened the door, and there was no cinder block. There's just a wave of something moving. It was those little camel crickets, the
Oh
ones
yeah.
that like to jump.
Oh yeah.
The ones that, if you are a home inspector and in a crawl space, it jumps, so you think it's a spider and you maybe jump a little. But going in there, I knew that, and all you see is just my little, just my
Mhm.
face. Put my suit on, I go underneath there. I'm fine with it. The whole way underneath the house, looking at everything, I feel I'm jumping. All right, I'm in a Tyvek suit. When I get out and I start taking it off, well, now they're going down my shirt. They're in my hair. So the realtor is like, they're kind of a little grossed out by all the
Yeah.
bugs that are on
Yeah.
there. Well, then they really freaked out when I'm on the ground trying to roll around, because they're literally
Oh
handfuls of them
geez.
are as I take my suit on and realize
Yeah.
there's so many on me. So that realtor likes to remind me of that every single time I go on a job with her. And she tells the story to the new clients.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Which is why you should have someone.
Oh
to
yeah,
get your
yeah,
crawl-
yeah.
so- Other than the crickets, did you find anything under there that was an issue?
Cast iron pipe leaking a little bit.
Okay.
Cast iron pipe is a great product. It's at the end of its life, so if you have it, you need to really take a good look at it. It's
It
starting to leak.
and the stuff that's going on in the crawl
Mhm.
space, we're likely not going to hear it. We're not going to feel it. We're not going
Mm-mm.
to know it's
Yeah,
problems are having
yeah.
down there, right?
There's when you yeah you there's ways you want to inspect it too, and the things that a lot of people don't think about, even people that are my profession or other professions, coming from some of my background history, like in water restoration and those things. I really feel that when you go into a crawl space, I close my door. I put my humidity stuff up and I check it, not around a dehumidifier, but in corners and stuff like that. So that way you really know what's going on.
I've learned many things in BNI about a number of in BNI we call them seats. So Jimmy's in the home inspector seat, and I've learned a lot about different professions that I didn't know much of. One of the things I've learned for folks that are buying a brand new house
Mhm.
from a builder, that you are allowed and encouraged to find your own realtor and find your own home inspector, because not knocking builders here, but they are salespeople. They are selling you a house, which is a good product, but they're selling the house to you the way they're building it through their mortgage lender, and you can
Yeah.
find your own mortgage lender and everything. Do you get many calls where people want you to inspect a newly built house?
Yeah, I do a good bit of those, and I do enjoy those a lot. It's part of my past life
Mhm.
before being a home inspector, and I think that when you look at a house, especially before the sheetrock goes on,
Yeah.
you see a lot. You're right; it's not the builder, it's not even the tradesman. There's such a deficiency in tradesmen. They're younger, they're brand new. There's a lot of things, and the county will come and inspect something on say January. Then in February, they're putting mechanical in. Then I'm inspecting it after that. So I see other trades do things that maybe there's a new guy on there and he just cuts right through a truss. Or perhaps no one really understands that that's a drain line and they're putting trash over the drain line. So stuff's
Mhm.
getting into the drain. So there's a lot of those little things. And I really truly think, and people always say this too, well, I'm going to get it inspected when I move in. I'd rather do the pre drywall than a move in
Yeah.
inspection. If they're going to forgo one of them, forgo that one. Because you can always do 11th month inspection before the warranty
Mhm.
ends, but you get to see everything in that wall. You see everything from the plumbing, the electrical stuff you're not going to see during a normal inspection because it's behind the wall. And I think
Yeah.
that's important to me at least, and should be important to them.
Yeah. And again, this is usually for most people, it's the most expensive thing they buy.
Hmm.
And why would you not do that?
Yeah,
Is the question. It's worth the not getting the prices, worth the 4, 5, 6, 700 bucks, whatever it takes to do
yeah,
that, to protect a $400,000 investment.
yeah,
You would think that that would be the way to go.
yeah. Well, you get the inspection, so you get that bit of knowledge. Like,
Yeah.
hey, my house is good. Here's 4 or 5 deficiencies that either the seller can fix
Mhm.
or that I can now look forward to fixing or upgrading. But when I leave that inspection, it really should be an educational piece. I leave educational stuff on how to maintain your home because that's important. Everyone thinks that if you put a kitchen in, yes, that's the biggest investment you can make in your home, which it is. Get the best bang for buck, but it's truly maintenance. You
Mhm.
never do anything on your home for 10 years and you put a brand new kitchen in right before you sell it,
Yeah.
you're still not getting the max dollar out of it.
Well, and I like the fact somebody like you comes in before the sheetrock is put up. It also tells the builders and all the other trades, like, oh, we got another set of eyes on our property here.
Yeah.
Right.
Some builders like when I come out. And it's usually on the pre-drywall, they think it's nitpick stuff like, oh, so
Yeah.
they cut into the trap. Well, that's a huge issue. You're never going to be able to fix it until now.
Yeah.
And a lot of them now, me or even others, but uh, you find a window that says something's wrong, or you find other things wrong. It's so much cheaper to do it
Yeah.
now than to do it once the sheetrock's on, or once you have finishes all over the place.
Yeah.
So they start to like that once they
The
know.
and the other thing I learned is, I guess either I don't know. My wife and I have not bought a brand new house, so we've not been through this. The 11-month
Hmm.
warranty.
Hmm.
So walk through that, because most people don't know. So if you buy a newly built
Hmm.
house, it's it's under warranty for a year.
It is.
Everything,
For the most part,
most
yes.
part, okay.
Yeah.
So at 11 month, it's 13th month is too late. So explain the thought
Yeah.
process why the 11 month is
So
so important.
most builders offer a 1 year warranty, and that looks just like almost a home inspection, except you go through more details. The details would be, hey, this is you want maybe more information. So like we'll say windows, for example. There's maybe perhaps a little bit of haze behind one of the windows.
Mhm.
That's when I would sit there and say, hey, there's a deficiency in this, and most likely the builders will replace the sashes on it. But then I'm asking for other information too, especially if I didn't do the original inspection. So if I did the original inspection, I'm going to have PO numbers, I'm going to have the window stickers, all that stuff. So once I have all that information, that kind of travels with the rest of the inspections. If I come out there just on 11th month, that's what I'm informing the customer on so that they can have that relationship with their builder, because there's other warranties that supersede that 1 year. Windows, maybe appliances, other things like that. And that's what I want to set them up for, is that long-term success with their house so that they can take benefit of a 20-year warranty on a window.
Yeah. And again, it's their, hopefully they're planning on being in the house 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, however long, but
Yeah.
it's good to know that. But that's one of the things I've learned is you're allowed to go get your own lender, your own inspector, your own realtor, all of that to represent, because you want to be represented. The builder represents themselves.
Yeah.
And you need, if you're buying a already built house, you would have your representation. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed learning that a lot. But it is important to protect that. So you'll do inside the house, and you do kind of walk around and do a visual inspection.
So I do basically the property. So I'll walk the property, look for drain lines, your electrical coming in, all those things. Look for any kind of hazards in the yard too. So
you mean gutters that aren't connected?
Gutters aren't connected,
gutters
flashing.
that are turned and send water to the foundation of the house.
I found a hole once, but that's a whole nother story.
Well, hey, we're here.
So, yeah, so it was one of my first inspections with this one realtor, and it was the fall time. It was last year, and they have this. It was a real big fuzzy dog, and I can't tell you what it is. I saw it behind a door, and the whole yard was covered in leaves. Beautiful fall picture of this beautiful house. I didn't realize that dog liked to get cool, I guess, in the summer. So this, probably standing up 6 foot tall dog dug a really big hole all over the yard.
Oh.
So I'm flying my drone and I'm walking backwards because I'm looking at the tree, and I'm trying to also look at my screen because I want to get really close to something that I'm looking at. And all of a sudden I see sky. I'm going backwards. And I see my receiver and my phone go 2 different ways, and I just hear the drone. So I jump up and I'm running after it, and then it goes down the yard and hits a tree. Thank God, there's nothing else. And so that was I found a deficiency. There's holes in the yard. So yeah, that was a good one. Again, those realtors like to give me a hard time. I don't know why. I never give anybody a hard time.
And the homeowners probably went, huh.
Yeah.
Like they'd never seen it before.
They had some security cameras, and I really did ask if the realtor could get that. I would love to have saw that. So, yeah. But, yeah.
Drones are new to the world, so you get to see roofs. What else can you use it for?
A lot of times, if you have houses that have 3 stories on the back because the basement's uncovered or something like that, it's really good to look at some siding and windows from the outside. So I do look at those things. Roofing is really good. I have some old-timey home inspectors who say, "Oh, I got to get on every roof." There's some roofs you just don't want to get on.
Yep.
Not even if they're steep, but either shingles missing, granule loss. There's things you're going to do more damage walking around. Plus, too, if it's a chimney, you can't see the top of the crown. So I try to integrate both. I'll get on roofs. I'll get my drone. I've been on a roof flying a drone before too.
Nice.
So sometimes you just can't see it. You want to see everything you can. So yeah, the drones are fun. Probably not the most smooth at it. I see videos of people doing tricks. I can't do tricks yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Except falling backwards.
Falling backwards. Yeah, it's a trick. I hope don't do too many more times. So yeah.
Next, in the fall when you go to a house to see leaves,
walk around, kick a little bit more. Yeah, I'm not gonna assume it's all level.
Can I assume you've been followed on your inspection by that do-it-yourself guy?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. And how do we handle those?
It takes a lot longer, but it's all about the service. So if they want to know, sometimes they're trying to educate me, and the other times I'm educating them. So I think my inspections do go a little bit beyond the average bear. So yeah.
Do they try to tell you, oh, don't worry about that, it's always been that way, or I'm going to fix it later?
If it's the current homeowner, there's always a story behind why that dent's in the wall, and my wife got mad at me and threw me, or I don't know, something. So there's always a reason for it. I've learned just to okay, and just keep going and write them up, and it's someone's house, and they took a lot of love and care to build it, or keep maintaining it, I say. So yeah, it's their home, and they're proud of it. So.
By law, what are you supposed to put in your report?
Oh man, there's a lot of things with North Carolina that they really want you to have. So, my report was my reporting that I've done, I've really tailored it off of what North Carolina wants,
Mm.
so that I'm covering that standard operating procedure. But it's everything from identifying, what type of roof, what type of drainage. One of the biggest things is that I didn't necessarily realize until I became a home inspector was that the electrical. So a lot of taking
Oh,
off the
yeah.
panel box,
Mm.
doing those things. That's why you want to get under the house too, so you can identify what kind of pipe it is, what kind of electrical, those type of items.
What kind of things do you add that if you're representing the buyer
Hmm.
that they don't legally need to know, but I want you to know about X?
Yeah, water pressure is an easy one on that. It's not covered in North
Oh,
Carolina, but I have a little device I connect to it.
yeah.
So even if it's a well, I check it. It's just something easy to do. It's something that I would want to know. Um, there is an infrared inspection that I offer, but I do
Mhm.
light infrared during my home inspections. So the technology's there, and I feel like it's just customers need to know that
Yeah.
stuff. So if I take when I'm doing my panel box, I take it off. I quickly snap a picture of that because they'll show you something. If a breaker's 300 degrees, it's probably getting ready to go, or something's wrong with it.
Okay.
So that will kind of guide my inspections from there. Vaulted ceilings, those things, they like to leak. There's no way to inspect them because there's no room. So I use infrared for those things. Yeah.
Are we bothering you, Amnon? You good?
No,
Okay.
no.
Go get me a cookie too. I'm hungry. um, you will drive a fur distance, as they
Yeah,
say. Okay.
I do.
All
Yeah.
right.
So being newer to this and kind of my goals for what I want the company for,
Yeah.
I will drive. Definitely for sure. Especially for my realtors that are
Yeah.
even if they're in Raleigh and they
Yeah.
have a client other side of like Burlington or Greensboro. I've drove out there.
So you learned some of your handyman tricks and your interests from your dad,
Yeah, a little
right?
bit of
He
that.
would
Well,
drag you, or you guys would do stuff around the house.
plumbing, my mom. That's all.
Okay.
That's a long story. My
All right.
dad wasn't that handy until much later in life. All my water restoration, all my mold finding stuff is definitely my father. He grew up cleaning carpets,
Yep.
doing water restoration. So we joke back and forth that I have all these meters, and for some reason he senses things, and he'll tell me what's moist here. I'm like, no, it's not, and I'll walk over. It was. so, so I like to prove my dad wrong, but that's
It's
hard.
yeah, those old
Yeah.
guys like, son, we don't need any of
Yeah.
these gadgets. I can smell it.
Yeah. He has those he has that gift on that. So yeah.
So did you guys work on stuff around the house?
Um yeah, there's a lot of times really growing up with my father too was always around business, family business stuff. So when I was 18 I ventured into a corporate job. But when I was a kid growing up, it was family business.
Yeah.
So about carpet cleaning machines, they like to go down, and when it's your only machine and you have a week worth of stuff booked, you're up
Yeah.
all night taking it out, working on it and stuff. So yeah, that was a lot of things we did. A lot of holiday weekends, scrubbing, waxing floors, that kind of stuff. A lot of.
And you had no choice.
Oh yeah, well, I had a choice, but I don't know where I would want to live after. So,
Right,
yeah.
Because there are child labor laws that do not apply to parents.
Yeah, it is.
I remember that.
But it was
Yeah.
always fun. He always said, my dad's really short. We're Italian. I don't know how I became 6'4", Italian kid, but he liked to give me a hard time, and we had a lot of fun doing those things, especially
Yeah.
if I fell on the floor or something like that.
And so for the folks that are watching here, you can see us on screen. I'm sitting on about 6 phone books, and I'm still not as tall as he is. So that's how the studio's prepared.
Yeah.
We had my dad wasn't a handyman or fix-it guy, but we had a big backyard,
Mhm.
and there were a few trees, and it did nothing but just leaves everywhere.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those. Tomorrow, you guys are raking the backyard. Saturday, Dad. The child labor laws didn't. You didn't get to say so, right?
Yeah. My thing was cleaning the filter in the carpet cleaning machine. When I got home from school, I had to clean the filter no matter
Oh,
what.
really?
Yeah, and there's
Okay.
usually probably 4 of them or something like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's what I always hated doing that. So yeah.
Are we good?
We-
You want to join the conversation?
We were talking about it. What were we talking about right before we went on the air? Communication.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
Did you just get a couple emails and
and
texts?
and
Look at you.
Kimberly's just doing it, and she added and everything, and
Right.
it's nice. So everybody's going to be, you just
Well,
talked about it, and
I
here
like
it
it.
is.
I like it.
We spoke it into existence.
There you go.
Yeah.
The company name has a connection to your dad.
It does. So it's a little bit of our family names kind of put together, and also too, it's a homage to his company. So initially when I started to do when I started my business, my own business, a lot of it was paired up to work with his and stuff like that. So his company's Daniel's Carpet Care, and mine was nice acronyms. He always
Nice.
summarized it, so I wanted to look a little had a vision for it and stuff. And unfortunately, I migrated more towards the environmental inspections and the home inspections. Yeah,
That's okay.
So, yeah.
But you got DCC from
So,
his
yeah.
company. I like that. I like that.
Grew up doing it, so might as well finish off doing it.
Was he pleased with that?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That was a nice nod from your sons. That works for dads too. Works for dads too.
Yeah.
All right. So before you got into this business, you were at Lowe's for a while.
Lowe's 20 years. So yeah.
And so we've got some good Lowe's stories I know we can tell. But you started there as what?
Unloading trucks.
With the goal of what?
Making money and not being on the street.
Okay.
Yeah, 18 years old. I moved out of my dad's house. I was just on my own, I was going to college and stuff. So that's what I did. Had no idea it was going to be a career, and it turned into a really good career. It was one of the things I always liked was just everything within the stores. And I was there for a long time. So I was store manager for about 6 years. Did sales when it looks very different from what it looks like today. Then before I left, I was at another part of the organization that most people don't know about. So, yeah.
All right, so you're the new guy on the loading the trucks. All right, what did they make you do, whether it was legitimate or not?
So Lowe's has a great thing of, go find the board straightener. I knew there was no board straightener. I knew that. Someone told me treated cedar, and they're like, go find the treated cedar.
Treated cedar?
Yeah, and I was like, no, that doesn't exist. So they got me on that. But then they said the store manager wanted me to go to the basement and get something. And that I believed. So there's about 20 minutes of me behind this old store looking for like a loading dock door or something, and I couldn't find it. And lo and behold, I think they told the store manager, he was walking back there. He said, Jim, what are you doing? And I said, I'm looking for the basement. They said you wanted me to get, I forgot what it was. And he started laughing. He goes, they took advantage of you, kid. And, he kept walking, and then I felt, I don't know, about 2 feet tall. So yeah, that was that story. They told me to move a delivery truck. It's just like a standard truck. And this was older Lowe's stores that had yards and stuff. And it was this little 16-foot bed. And I didn't realize that it was reversed, first, second, third. Yeah. I didn't want to know why I wasn't going forward, so I stomped on the gas, and I may have bumped into some lumber. Yeah, it didn't fall over, but I bumped into it. They can't get me now. I'm already gone from the
Were a couple of your coworkers watching? Yeah. Oh, dying.
Yeah, they were dying. Yeah.
They probably, did you see one guy pull out a 5, handed the other guy? Like, okay, you in the bed, right?
Yeah.
So how long did you do that before the next step?
Not even quite a year. And I got in, was on nights, went to days, then got into management pretty quick. I was still in my teens when I was a department supervisor. Did that, stepped back, did some sales, did some college, then got back into management basically, and kind of went up pretty quick from there. And when I got my own store, it was an awesome feeling. So yeah,
I bet.
Yeah.
Balancing school and work. Some night, and then of course, hey, we're going out tonight. You're like, how many of those you have to turn down?
A good bit. Yeah, full-time job, salaried. Yeah. So it was 50, 60 hours.
But you had way more money than your friends did.
I did, yeah. When I was in sales, I was very fortunate. So yeah, that was, it all it paid for was school and maybe some drinking money here and there. So yeah.
But nowhere to spend it because you're either in school or working.
Yeah. Well, I found a way to spend it, but yeah.
Oh, did you? Okay, yeah. Well, good. Right. And so when you got your own store, in previous conversations you and I have had, you learned you guys would actually go to a house and work on stuff, whether it's restoration, things like that. Is that when that happened?
No, that was more with my father and stuff like that. Okay. A lot of things I did with the construction piece in the stores was we did a lot of installs. It feels like more back then than now. So there was a lot of things I got familiar with, like roofing, things like that. So, customer wasn't happy with the roof or the builder had issues. I helped pilot 2 different programs that I think are still in use now. I know one's gone. So I got a lot of stuff with renovating kitchens, things like that. So,
So how many employees when you got your first store?
Mm-hmm.
Were you prepared for that?
Yeah, Lowe's. I don't know about before I was a store manager and I heard horror stories. They just gave you keys and said, here you go. But Lowe's I had some really good mentors with Lowe's. Right. So I felt like I was really prepared. Great training program. So I felt really good, but there's nothing that's going to prepare you for that kind of organized chaos sometimes.
They may read all the books. Hey, when this happens, you do this.
Yeah.
Sounds easy, doesn't it? It's like,
There is no, when you open that manual, it's like, figure it out.
Yeah,
There is no
yeah.
step one, figure it out.
We could tell you, but you're not
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
believe us. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so where's this your first store?
My first store was Tarboro, North Carolina.
Is it
Yeah.
still there?
Still there. Somehow it's still standing. So,
How long did you manage that?
oh man. I want to say like 3 years, maybe just a hair
Okay.
over 3 years.
All right.
Yeah. It was the coolest, one of the smallest new Lowe's stores that they had produced at the time. At a lumber yard you drive into. It's kind of like a
Nice.
prototype store.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was excited to take that one over. It was unique. So
And how many hours a week the first 4 or 5 months there?
Oh man. Don't remember. Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot. So,
You have
yeah.
a cot in the back
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for quick naps.
or in the basement?
Yeah,
you
the
know, 'cause
basement,
Every
yeah.
store has one, right?
Next to the treated cedar.
And obviously you had to move to Tarboro.
I moved to Greenville.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
All right.
yeah, I lived in Greenville for most of the last end of my Lowe's career before coming to Raleigh, Durham. So yeah.
So you came from the they hired me school. So now you're running the store and you're hiring them.
Yeah.
What'd you learn about hiring people? I know you got a couple of
Yeah.
things you learned.
There was the first time we did, especially just for not necessarily the people that reported to me, but finding good people that's the hardest thing.
Oh yeah.
If you're running a corporate organization or if you're running your own business, it's hard to find good people. And we was always good at networking and kind of throwing stuff out there with social media. So I this career fair, come one, come all this stuff, and there's 200 people sitting there, and you're like, crap.
I got 3 spots open.
Yeah. So you just, it was a lot. So you just have to kind of go through and weed out the people. And I hear this a lot from people. So I applied for Lowe's 10 times. Like sometimes hundreds of people apply, and you just go down the list until you feel like that's as much as you can handle and go from there.
You know, I hadn't thought about that, but hearing you talk through that, you can't really gauge anything by just that statement alone because they could have been up against 25 other people.
Yeah.
And maybe they were number 6, which is still good.
Yeah.
But they weren't, okay.
Yeah. You just kind of go through what you're looking for. And even if that's why I always tell people too, whenever you're applying for something, have a great resume.
Yeah.
Because if you leave out just little details, it can mean the difference of someone pulling you to the right stack.
Yeah, because you don't want to have that, this is a resume I use for all the jobs I apply for.
Yeah.
No, you got to read what should expect to do this or skill sets needed for this. And
I was looking for a sales manager and he had no sales experience. I'm sorry, I can't even really, and I can talk to you, but there's 10 other people who have sales experience. So
Can you start at Home Depot, work a year?
Yeah.
Was there a good friendly rivalry between Lowe's and Home Depot?
I was really competitive.
Okay.
Yeah, like now I feel like if there's another home inspector, I'm like, oh, hello, friend. This is kind of whatever.
Yeah.
But if you were like Depot Truck, I was like, it was like an episode of that musical West Side Story.
Oh,
Yeah, it was like
yeah.
that. Like I wanted to kick him out of the turf, and local shops, bigger shops.
Where was the closest Home Depot to you?
In
Tarboro.
So the good story is Eastern North Carolina Lowe's got rid of about 3 depots. They closed the one in Greenville. They closed the one in Wilson and Rocky Mount. It was before my time. That's why I actually wanted to come out here. I'm like, if you're closing competition, I want to come work in that area. Thought that was awesome.
But you had, Larry's store, you had those mom and pops.
The mom
right?
and pops, yeah. And there's always good competition with those. And in Tarboro, I don't know if he's still the mayor, but the mayor of Tarboro was actually owned to Ace Hardware. And I can't say we had the most greatest relationship in the world, but really good guy, great business owner, really instrumental for the community. But when it came business to business, it was a little different. But we were the one bringing tax dollars in, bringing probably customers from other areas in, and we had special programs. We're building houses all over North Carolina. So it was really great for that community to have us as a tax base and that who can bring product in. We had a hurricane. There's no way anybody could have had the shipping and logistic powers as we did.
Yeah.
But then they have that garden center that looked absolutely gorgeous. And my garden centers were great, but they got the unique stuff. It was that real attention to detail that people like Lowe's can't touch.
And there's a place for both.
There is.
In every community, because there's some things, like I do most of my grocery shopping at Walmart, but there's some things Food Lion or Harris Teeter has that Walmart doesn't. I'm going to pay a little bit more if I go to the Teeter. I know that, but that's what my wife said she wanted. And so I go there and get that. So there's a part for everybody. Yes, sir.
How true is the assumption? I mean, in our family, Lowe's, because it is a North Carolina-based company.
Yeah.
That's true.
That is true.
Oh,
It started in North Wilkesboro. The
Okay.
original store is still there. So if you're in North Wilkesboro, I think it's Main
Nice.
Street. So I think it's a muffler shop now. I can't be for sure, but they actually painted it like the old Lowe's and how they had it. But yeah, it started in Lowe's now. Corporate says that we started in the 20s. That's kind of when the family got together and started it. But truly, after the war, World War II, that family came together, and Lowe's they were getting products into the mountains that you couldn't find after the war. And that's what got Lowe's started.
And where is Lowe's these days? What other states?
Yeah, so they're
Everywhere?
50.
No.
Yeah, so
Okay.
there was Mexico and Canada when I was with them. They recently pulled out of both of those, but yeah, they're all over the states. I think it's about 1,900 stores.
And if you would, I'm sure in other places you work, people call Lowe's thinking they're calling Home Depot, and they're like, "Oh, I thought you,"
Where they'll
or
come
they
in.
would refer to you as, "Oh, it's a Home Depot right around the corner. Make a
Yeah,
left.
yeah.
You know that's a Lowe's, right?" Huh.
Like when they would come in and ask for products, and
Yeah.
they'll bring in a return. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not our stuff. That's someone else's.
Walmart
Oh
takes everybody's
no! Yeah,
returns.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the people are when I go into Lowe's, I see a good mix of people. I'll see the retired guy
Mhm,
because he's a hands guy or he was a paint guy.
mhm.
And like, I don't want to be my own boss anymore. I go here. And those are the knowledgeable
Yeah.
because they've usually done that, 20 or 30 years. And then there's some, younger, newer people that just haven't developed yet, but you see a little bit of both.
There's to find a good mixture
Yeah.
was always my goal, to have
Yeah.
the people who know stuff. And retired is hard to get to work certain hours and certain
Mhm.
times
Yeah.
stuff. And then you have the young kid who will run up and down a ladder 20 times to find anything
Yeah.
you want. So finding those was always a challenge, but a fun when you got it.
There were no self checkouts back then.
No, not when I started.
All right. How many cashiers did you have there?
Oh man, so back then, depends on the store, but
But
probably.
yours. Let's go to your
Oh
Tarboro
yeah,
store.
so Tarboro was a smaller store. Some of the bigger stores I ran, there was probably 60, 70 cashiers that were on your rotation.
Okay.
Some had limited schedules, other were
Mhm.
full time. Now I don't know, because we really went to more of like an automated
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Depot, Lowe's, both. The thing I don't like, especially being a small business
Mm-hmm.
owner, when I go in there for something, it's like you have 4 self checkouts, but only one's up. There's
Yeah.
self checkouts, open them. But I think a lot of it's going online and all that other stuff. That's where they want you to go. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
And there was no online when you first
No
started.
online. No online. There was still pink tickets, where if you got your invoice and yours on a house account,
Oh, yeah.
they separated those and stuff. I
Yeah.
feel old talking about that, but yeah.
And guess what's good about this?
What?
That they can continue to service you even if the power goes out.
Yeah.
Today, forget it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I've had a few times where power's gone out, or hurricane situations or something like that, and the power's out, and doing handwritten tickets for everything. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so bad.
Oh, and the old credit card machine where you put the slip in there
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
kind of run it back across. Oh yeah, I
Mhm.
remember that.
Yeah.
Now, when a hurricane, when the first time you were a store manager and a
Mhm.
hurricane hit the area,
Matthew.
who calls who and who does what?
So Lowe's has like a command center for that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. I think most places do, like Walmart. Anyone that has logistical power usually has that. So my conversations were, before you even have a hurricane, there's strategies. They'll bring in cleaning stuff. They're bringing in like chainsaw stuff, anything to kind of before the damage or
Mhm.
before the storm, and after it's generators, water, all that other stuff. So Lowe's is probably one of the best organized with that. Then you have people like me who are thinking way ahead, and especially after my first one, I've already ordered a truck of water. So yeah, so it's a little crazy sometimes, but when you really look at the people that are coming in,
Mhm.
and the people that really need this stuff, water, bleach, anything to kind of keep their house somewhat operable. Generators are probably the hardest on everybody, because one, they're heavy. Two, that truck comes in, it has to be unloaded, and they know when.
Oh,
that
they're
truck-
gone.
Yeah, they know
Yeah.
it's there.
Yep.
And so just to kind of organize that, lines, whatever, it's probably one of the most rewarding thing when you have a community that goes through that, and you're able to support it, because a lot of people can't do that. I mean, me as a small business, I couldn't do some of the things that ServPro does,
Yeah.
just because of the power behind that. So
Do they send other Lowe's employees to your store
Mhm.
to help?
yeah.
Okay.
So what I did with some of my first hurricane that I had is about 5 or 6 really devastated trees down, other things like that. So as soon as I got my relief crew a couple days later, we had either relief crew or some of us would go out and actually help those Lowe's employees. And Lowe's gave us funds to do stuff like that. And there's emergency money that we can give to employees that are going through tragedies like that. So that's the rewarding part when you can help your employees.
We moved to Daytona Beach in 1999, and I'd never lived anywhere where hurricanes hit.
Yeah.
And we saw our first one, and it left the area.
Yeah.
It was safe to go out, and Becky and I loaded up we grabbed the boys, put them in the car. We kind of went driving around. I wanted to see what that was. Never seen the aftermath of a hurricane, and thankfully this one wasn't that bad. But there are trees down, and certain roads, because we're obviously Daytona Beach, small town, but there are some roads. Oh, we can't go left because then that's when you start to think, all right, so who's, you got all these first responders and city employees and whoever it is, who's going to get that out of there to reopen that? Where's it on the pecking order? Just all kinds of stuff, logistics that you guys are dealing with.
Yeah, that's that's can be when a truck comes in, you have to get it done. You have to get it out. You have to, most trucking companies, they'll schedule large orders like that because it's hard to unload them. You need manpower for it, but when they show up, you just have to be ready. You bring food in for everybody, so they're well fed, but it just has to get done, and it's the community's relying on you. So, yeah.
When we were second time we talked, you were telling me, and you can forgive the name of the person, but you were telling me that there was this one district manager or regional manager that everybody was afraid of, but you run your store like what?
Yeah, it was a busy Saturday, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I was probably a little afraid though because I was newer. But when it's busy, it's busy. Yeah. So it's a Saturday, and that's for me was always, if Lowe's made you dress a certain way, like we had to wear khakis. I was wearing jeans that day. I was in the garden center. I was other places. It's game time for us, right? And so he shows up, and it's busy, and he's talking about stuff, and I'm like, well, I'm going over here. We're busy. I just kind of cut him off, and just to sum up that conversation. And an hour later or so, maybe longer, one of my peers called and says, "Is he still in your store?" I was like, "Yeah." "You're not with him?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "Why aren't you not with him? Go find him. He's probably tearing up your store, making a list, gonna, beat you up, whatever. I don't know." So I found him, and he was in seasonal, and he was down stocking like leaf blowers and chemicals and stuff.
Good.
He was just helping out. And so I walked over there and we talked. We walked for a few minutes, and then he was like, "All right, cool. I'll see you Monday or Tuesday, whatever." And left. And it's no matter what. And that's probably why I did like Lowe's for so long, is it wasn't about that whole corporate thing. We are all here for customers. We're all here to serve each other. So.
And when I ran we moved back here in 2009, and I ran the AMF bowling center in Durham, and it was the same thing. Larry, our regional guy, good guy. I mean, he held you accountable, which no problem, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes other people are like, "Oh, Larry's coming to visit you tomorrow." I'm like, okay, because it's kind of late to change things. We're not doing it right, overnight stuff. But it's like, you got to be ready. And I don't think your guy would want you to shadow him.
Yeah,
he would want you to pitch in and work the register, take stuff out the cars. Yeah,
it's what you stand for, right? It shows your true colors when your boss is sitting there, and you never see your boss when you're a store manager. Like once a month, maybe, unless something's going on, like a hurricane, he'd come and support us and stuff. But no, it was I just didn't care, and I guess it's because I did grow up Lowe's wise around Wilkesboro and stuff, because that's where I came out of. Charlotte and Wilkesboro. And I remember when they moved to office, everyone was like, "Oh, what to expect?" I'm like, "Oh, you guys have no idea." So, when someone's in your store and you just don't know who they are, they're like anybody else. They're an employee and a customer. So,
and obviously you had several district or regional meetings a year that you would go to. When was the first time your store was acknowledged for something and you got to walk up and get an award?
It was my first year.
Nice.
It's my first year. It was humbling. It was good. It's my store. Achievements, but it's really my team's achievement. But it's nice to represent them. And I think a couple of the best years I've had is because of the team that we had and we put together. And some of the things like hurricanes were big construction projects we took on. So it's really nice to be recognized, and Lowe's did a great job of that.
God, that was a horrible answer. I did not ask for question. I want to know what it's like for you to go up and accept an award on behalf of your store.
I was just afraid I was going to trip. I was just want to trip. I didn't want to go up there and trip. That was my biggest thing. I made it down. I mean, no, it was really good. There was and
you're right, it is about the team. But I was just wondering, because I remember the first time when I was running it with AMF, it's like, AMF Durham, like, Hey now. So that for that moment, when did you realize like, we
Yeah.
are kind of good, yeah.
It was good when I got that check. So
Yes.
it was,
Oh
I
yeah.
was realized
Yeah.
that. No, it was, I realized it like we after the fact and stuff like that. And I was being thanked and stuff.
Mm,
And then it was the drinks after.
yeah.
Everyone wanted to celebrate and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Because even if it was my achievement or our achievement in that certain district
Yeah.
or market, you know, we're still beating out 1,800 other stores. So it was
Yeah.
like one of us. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
that was always
And it
fun.
is all about the people. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right, because the crappy run stores don't get recognized.
Mm,
So obviously, if you're getting recognized, you've got
Yeah.
a fair amount of good people working.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but they would. So when you go to these district or regional meetings, and they put up that screen,
Mhm.
that slide, the PowerPoint about ranking the stores, you're like, look at me, still top three. Where are you boys? And
Yeah.
there's like 35 stores below you and 2 ahead of you, right?
There was mid-year meeting was a lot smaller. It's probably like oh geez, I mean 100, maybe like 300-400 people
Mhm.
mid-year meeting because it was in our own regions. Then at the end of the year it was in Vegas or somewhere else, and there was 3,000-4,000.
Yeah.
So it was a good bit. And then so mid-year meeting, you kind of like you're looking at the other guy or girl, and you're like, coming for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was truly what you did. If you had one program or two programs that are doing really good, we're a store overall. I mean, that's how you get your team behind you. You're like, hey, we're like number 2 right now. Are we number 2 or number 1? And they're all,
And then there are some people like, I'm good top 40. Okay.
yeah,
If you are, that's good. You know, you just stay there.
yeah. most of my managers I've had really really great managers that have worked for me. I had one who was a huge customer, framing package, all this other stuff, and some things were left off or didn't have, and we were in our personal cars, went to other stores to pick up, took them there. So if you told somebody like her name was Tasha and some other people that they read this or if they see this, I'm sorry to name everybody, but it was they were completely dedicated to go after it. There was no, oh, hey, we're 40. It was like, oh, we're number 1.
Yeah.
And anytime we did win something, it was always the whole, you know, if you play team sports and stuff, and other teams are like, oh, you won the Stanley Cup this year. You're not going to win it next year. Or, hey, you won the Super Bowl. You're not going to win it next year. There's always that. And none of us we always were like, okay, bet, watch. We'll get it.
And when we would go to our meetings, and I didn't need to stand up and brag, I just wanted you to know that you're looking at my name that's always top 2, and I don't need to say nothing to you because you're looking at mine. Just sit there and no need to brag or whatever.
Once you got something on your this is 5 or 6 days for this training meeting thing we'd all do at the end of the year. There was like your like scan card and everything else you needed, your name and everything. They put little stickers stuff on there. It was just cool. It was like, oh, hey, this guy won this one year, this won that. So any of my friends who like to cut up, I would just pull up and go brush it off. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know if you saw this. And
Exactly.
And they would do it to me too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So I mean, it was all good fun and stuff, and they would have like little dinners and stuff afterwards if you won certain things or vacations that they would take. So I made sure I rubbed it in. It's like, well, I won it this year. Why aren't none more of you guys winning this stuff? So yeah.
And there's always those 1 or 2 stores with those managers you can learn something from. And
Always.
if they're a really good manager, they're going to share it with you.
There is.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this in BNI too. Like there was people that I've met in my Lowe's career that were starting the company when there was 20 stores.
Yeah.
So what I learned about that business was from those guys. Either willingly or sit down, let's talk how to make this better. But it was always something, and it was that, or in that organization there was so much mentorship, so much other things to get you where you wanted to go. And I think being in my own business, that's where BNI really has been beneficial over the last several months. Me being in there is you have people who are, it may not be the same business, but it's the woes they've had where things you can bounce ideas off of and those things. And that's been, the leads are great and the referrals are great.
Oh yeah.
But for me, it's been those, because that means a lot to me.
Yeah, there's always somebody that's where we want to go, and let's go have coffee.
Yeah.
I want to pick your brain. And again, if they're good, they're going to share that with you.
Yeah.
If they're not, it's like, well, I don't want to hang out with you anyway because you're not going to be anybody. Probably.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. So we talked early on about what you should look for around your house, why you should get it inspected. So for the people that were watching, what's something they could do to start to walk around their house, to look at things to see, hey, I may need to get work.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, especially with the heat and the weather that usually comes with spring, walk your house. Look for any kind of windows that need to be caulked, holes in siding, around doors, those kind of things. I think that quick walk around means everything. Gutters is the worst for moisture.
Yep.
Even if you have a slab, it's never good to have a gutter just emptying water out next to your slab. So just those little things. There's a lot of stuff on my Facebook and Instagram that I post as far as how to maintain your home. And those I think are key. There is spring cleaning. Yes. There's also spring maintenance, winter maintenance, those kind of things. So every season there's something you can do to help maybe spend a little money, but save big repairs down the road.
At least make sure your gutters are connected.
Yeah.
They're not stopped up and they don't point towards the house. Just start with that. Oh my gosh.
I have a friend who I did their house and their normal maintenance inspection, and their gutter blocks were backwards. So you know how they're like, they fan out? Well, she had it turned backwards so the water would stop and pond up. I'm like, come on, you know better.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, you haven't been around your house.
Yeah.
You cut the grass. You see that every week.
Yeah.
Oh, that was actually one of my questions. Who does your Facebook page? That's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. So I do my own Facebook page. I have someone quoted me like, I don't know, $1,000 a month to do my Facebook page once, and I was like, no, I'm good at that.
Yep.
So I did that. I finally posted a picture of this face online.
Saw that.
Trying to get a little bit more not just posting stuff on there. So but no, I like to go on there and just post different things.
They go into Facebook, type what to find you?
DCC inspection services.
Right. So go on there because I was on there this morning finishing up my intel and some good tips on there. You know, you were talking about poison ivy, poison oak, stuff like that. So I'm just all over the place. Good tips.
It's for anybody, especially me, because I take a look at what that poison sumac looks like. So I never remember what it is, but I do find it. So
heard the name, I couldn't recognize it. Don't even know a tip on 3 is bad for me or anything like that. So, all right. So the tip today, folks, just walk around your house. Start there and think about if you're going to stay in that house for a while, you might want to have somebody look at it just to make sure everything's okay. Because again, the crawl space, nobody goes under there. And your attic, I know you're not looking in your attic. You're shoving stuff up there just like the rest of us do. So just do that. Help yourself. We've been putting Jimmy's phone number on the screen here. So give him a call. He'll answer your questions, come out, chat with you, take a look at your house, and help you out. But it's a big investment, so take care of that.
Can I give him Cheryl? Can I give him a?
Yeah.
I'm a do-it-yourselfer in most cases.
Yep.
But I never had the house inspected when we bought it 40-some years ago. Met Jimmy. We had a one-on-one. Said, I need him to come. And he came last week. And he walked around the whole thing, and he went inside, and he uses infrared, and he used all kind of camera in the ducts and swabbing the inside of everything.
Like a physical, wasn't it?
I mean, and it was great, and it wasn't expensive.
Yeah. What'd you learn? Other than you have an old house, which you knew, but
yeah, I so far I didn't learn anything because we're waiting for
the lab results to come back. Yeah.
Huh?
Okay. Yeah. Waiting for the lab results to come back.
Yeah. We're waiting for that because that was the main concern.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We did an in-home air and we're in-home air quality inspection.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Put all these pumps here and there, and they whizzing around and filtering stuff. And he does this, and he went under the house in that white suit and
my marshmallow suit.
Yeah, he did everything he was talking about today. He did, and he did it nice.
Well, good.
And there was no mess left in the house. Not that you couldn't even tell that he was around.
Yeah,
I left you a big mess outside.
Gaia took it. Yeah, she went and played with it. So, so anyways, folks, that's what professionals like Jimmy are here for. So take advantage of that. Give them a call. Go on Facebook, DCC Inspections or Inspection Services.
DCC Inspections.
Okay, inspection. Right. So check that out and just take a look at your house because you want to keep it. You don't want to spend the $18,000 later when you can spend a few hundred today. So, anyways, thank you, Jimmy, for being on the show. Appreciate it very much. Love the stories. We will see everybody next time on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.